Sup, everyone. Welcome back to the Flea Flicker. We're going to briefly talk about week 14 and then hop into the week 15 picks because it is the holiday season. We got a bunch of plans, both myself and Joey D over there. It's somebody's birthday on Saturday, I believe. So instead of recording, we are just going to make our picks right now. But Joey D, you're pointing at your wife. Is it her
I
birthday on
am.
Saturday?
It is her birthday on Saturday. She is a cougar, and I'm just a young lad that she's out to get, preying on me. But it's okay. We're totally cool with it over here. She's actually only 1 month older than me, so not that much. But yes, we're going to be celebrating and somewhat occupied, so probably can't record this weekend.
You know what? I'm going to be doing some traveling myself, picking up some holiday gifts, so I wouldn't be able to record either. But, Jody, we had a great week of football, and we finally have a full slate of games. Buys are now done. Bye-bye. See you later. But how are you doing today, my friend?
Yeah, I mean, let's get right into it, Tim. It was a rough weekend for me, I guess. Unfortunately, with our picks and with my fantasies, yeah, not ideal.
Well, let's just hop into it. Week 14, really quickly. I'm just going to run through the game. Seahawks beat the Texans, as everybody expected. Titans beat the Jaguars. Falcons defeat the Panthers. Saints over the Jets. Browns over my Ravens. Chiefs over the Raiders in a huge blowout. Chiefs probably back, Joe.
Yeah,
We'll talk about them as they're the first game of week 15. Cowboys defeated the football team. Joey D, we did not win our upset of the week. But good
we
news
did
is
not.
we won our locks of the week as my lock, the Denver Broncos, took care of the Detroit Lions. And your lock of the week, the Chargers, took care of the New York Giants. 49ers defeat the Bengals in overtime. Buccaneers beat the Bills in overtime. Packers blow out the Bears. Oh, no, it was blow out, but it was an exciting game Sunday night. Packers win, and then the Rams go into Arizona and win on Monday night. So, Joey D, finally, my week happened. We went opposite on 4 games, or technically 5 if you include Thursday night football, and I won 4 of them. So that is absolutely huge. That put you at 9-5 on the week, and 12, and for me, 12-2 on the week. And our overall standings going into the final stretch, Joe, you are 129, 78-1, and I am 123, 84-1. So I am only 6 games behind you. Got 4 more weeks to catch up on that. And we got ourselves one hell of a slate, especially Thursday and Saturday. Huge AFC playoff implications. Joey D, you ready to hop into some
Yeah,
picks?
Tim, I'm ready. It's a big slate. Let's get going.
Perfect. So Thursday night football, we got a huge matchup. We got the Kansas City Chiefs at the Los Angeles Chargers. The Chiefs are a 3-point road favorite currently at the time of recording. Over under is 52.5. And a big story this week in the NFL is a lot of positive COVID cases, records since from basically all of like October and November combined. A lot of people are out. Chris Jones is out. Huge piece of that Chiefs defense. Chargers went in Arrowhead not a couple of weeks ago, like week 4 or 5, went in to beat the Chiefs at the time to make them 4-1. And we thought Chargers were the best team in the AFC. They're a little bit inconsistent. Chiefs are playing some good ball right now. So Joey D, Chiefs at Chargers Thursday night. Who's your pick?
Yeah, I think this is going to be an awesome game, Tim. Like I said in the preview show
Mhm.
this year,
Ooh,
Chargers 1 game back
yeah.
from the Chiefs. Really giving them a run for their money with that division. This is just such a huge game for the division. I mean, if the Chargers can sweep the Chiefs, I mean, I think that the division is theirs for the
They
taking.
control
So
their own destiny at that point.
yeah, and I'm going to pick the Chargers to do it, Tim.
Ow!
Chargers are going to sweep the Chiefs this season, and I feel good about them winning the division. But I feel good about them winning this game primarily because of that Chris Jones COVID
Yeah,
positive case. I
huge.
mean, this defense has really been the story of this Chiefs team with their turnaround, and the offense. I mean, even this past week against the Raiders, they blew them out, but they had a bunch of defensive turnovers. Scoring touchdowns by the defense, setting up the offense in really good field position. We still haven't seen that offense take off. And, I feel like without Chris Jones, that defense, he's such a huge part. He's the absolute best player on that defense. I think that can't be overstated enough, how big of a loss that is. And then with the Chargers, they had a couple positive cases this past Sunday. And I think kind of getting ahead of everything that's going on right now, they've already been in COVID protocol and working remotely and doing everything virtually. So I don't think that they have any new COVID cases that I know of going into the week. So I think that Chargers are going to be close to full strength. Chiefs are struggling a little bit. It's in LA. This is their opportunity. Like you said, control
Mhm.
their own destiny. I feel good about the Chargers in this one, Tim. Give them to me.
Yeah, absolutely, Joe.
And
And
it's not my upset.
it's pretty fair to say that this is probably the biggest game of Brandon Staley and Justin Herbert's young careers in LA. I mean, needless to say, it's his first year as a head coach. Justin Herbert, first full year as the starter. And so, needless to say, this is probably the biggest game for them, especially if they do win. And at the end of the day, Joe, Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes on the big stage. I'm going to go with the Kansas City Chiefs. A couple of years ago, Chargers went into Kansas City on a Thursday night and ended up winning that one. I think the Chiefs get some revenge and separate themselves. So I'm going with the Chiefs in this one, Joe. And speaking of that team that the Chiefs beat last week, the Raiders. We got a couple of Saturday football games, Joe, and the Raiders are at the Browns, another team with a bunch of positivity, we'll say on there. And currently, because of all that, the Raiders are actually a 1.5 point road favorite, and the over under is 39. Looked at the weather because my friend had a couple of fantasy questions as well as you, Joey D. Looks like it's going to be raining and cold during the day, and it's going to transition into some sort of snow, potential 15, 16, 20 mile an hour winds as well. So this is going to be an ugly, ugly football game, much like last year when the Raiders played at the Browns. Just total slosh. That game was like 9-7 or something like that. Very ugly, very similar situations, but huge for AFC wildcard implications. Or, hey, if you're the Browns, you might be thinking division if you can win this one. So Joey D, Raiders, Browns, thoughts, who's your pick?
Tim, I think it comes down to all these positive COVID
Yeah.
cases for the Browns.
It's
I
like their
mean,
whole
no
offense,
Baker
basically.
Mayfield.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. No, like you said, they're a lot of their offensive line. I think most of their receivers. I'm not sure about Nick Chubb and the run game. But I mean, it's just a huge portion of all the offensive skill players. So, for that reason, I'm going to take the Raiders in this one, Tim. They're just the more, available team right now. Derek Carr versus Case Keenum. Derek Carr's actually got his receivers. Case Keenum doesn't even have that. Yeah, I just think I think at full strength, obviously the Browns are the better team and, playing better right now. This is just a lot. I'm pretty sure that's why I took either the Browns against like maybe the Cardinals or like
Yeah.
something like that earlier this season, and ended up losing. So I'm sure that'll get me again, but I'm gonna go with the Raiders just because I feel good about Derek Carr versus a Case Keenum in that matchup. Even with the weather, I just feel like Carr will be able to do more, while Case, I mean, is just gonna have to hand it off all game, and when you're that one dimensional, I mean, and even when he does pass, there's no one to throw to. Like I don't even know who they're putting out there.
Yeah. Yeah. This is going to be very interesting. And Baker Mayfield is very hurt this year, needless to say. And I even said that going into the Ravens game and after a couple of weeks ago in Baltimore, and like all the radio stations in Baltimore were basically like, this is kind of weird given our secondary, but we got to make Baker throw the football. And we even saying at tailgate, we were like, if we knock him out and Case Keenum goes in the game, we're done. I mean, we saw what happened when we knocked out Justin Fields and Andy Dalton went in, just boom, boom,
Yeah.
boom. And so even this past Sunday when they beat the Ravens, Baker was putting in all of his effort, all of his things into 20, 30-yard passes down the field. It looked like he gave it his all just to get the ball down the field. So I don't think it's that too much of a downgrade going to Case Keenum, especially because he's not playing in the NFC Championship game, Joe, in Philadelphia. So not too
That's
much
fair.
of it. Yeah, that is fair. Both these teams have very similar styles. They run the ball and they play defense, right? Come January, ugly weather. You run the ball, you play defense. I'm going with the Browns to win ugly in this one, Joey D, going opposite of you yet again. I really would like the Raiders to win. I just think they just don't have it. Now, hopefully, big game from Hunter Renfrow, and it pains me to say that, but big game from Hunter Renfrow. If he can continue to do, his 10 catches for 100 yards, great, whatever. If he helps beat the Browns, great. If he helps you win some money in fantasy, even better. And then, arguably, this could be game of the week, Joe. Saturday night football. New England Patriots at the Indianapolis Colts. Both teams coming off a bye. Patriots are the hottest team in the NFL, winning, I believe, 7 or 8 straight for the Patriots. Colts equally as hot. They did lose to the Buccaneers, but Jonathan Taylor is running the ball like crazy. Carson Wentz is, doing okay when he's not turning the ball over. Patriots, both teams coming off a bye game in Indianapolis, good old Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Patriots Colts rivalry coming into this one. Joey D, thoughts and who is your pick?
Yeah, that Mac
Oh,
Jones
hold on.
versus Carson Wentz doesn't
Sorry
have the
about
same
that.
ring to it.
Colts are 2.5 point favorite at home. Over under is 45 and a half.
Ooh,
Sorry, I did not say that. Whoopsies.
no worries. But in this one, I feel a lot better about the Patriots, Tim. This defense for the Patriots has been playing so well, and it's Bill Belichick. Historically against Carson Wentz, the Patriots have done pretty well.
Yeah.
Carson has not had his best games. A lot of turnovers. So I think it is going to depend on if Jonathan Taylor is able to get going against this stout defense. If he is, Wentz isn't asked to do too much, then, they might be all right.
Yeah.
And I expect this to be, probably a relatively low scoring game. I mean, the Colts defense has been forcing a lot of turnovers. Patriots offense isn't exactly lighting the world on fire. They're just kind of doing their jobs. You're not going to be able to get away with running the ball every play and throwing 3 times in this game. So I think that there is going to be, a little. Colts defense is going to get some wins throughout this game. It just kind of depends on how big those wins are and how much it swings the momentum. Right. I just feel more confident in the Patriots right now. And, like I said, in the past, when Carson Wentz has played the Patriots, he has not had his best games. I think Bill Belichick will be ready for him and will be able to get the win ultimately.
Yeah, this is very tough, Joe. I mean, this is going to be a good game. Both teams run the ball very well. Both teams play defense, get the turnovers. Wouldn't be surprised if each quarterback was under 20 pass attempts. I think Carson Wentz will probably pass a little bit more than Mac Jones, but fair to say both of them could be, around 10 to 15 pass attempts, depending on how the running game is going. And Bill Belichick, if you give him 2 weeks, will probably beat anybody. I'm going opposite of you again, Joe. And I think a big thing was when the Patriots played the Titans a couple of weeks ago, without Derrick Henry, without Adrian Peterson, both of their 2 running backs ran for over 100 yards. They didn't win the game. Of course, we saw how that went. But I think the Colts can get Jonathan Taylor going. They have the offensive line to combat the Patriots' defensive line. Frank Wright, very good, as you know, Joe, very good offensive schemes. And, they gave him 2 weeks to prepare for Bill Belichick for the Super Bowl. And, that went a pretty good way for you, Joe. So I'm going with the Colts in this one. So we are going completely opposite on this one, Joe, for the AFC matchup. So that is really, really cool. Now we're heading over to Sunday and a Sunday slate of football. Joey D, I'd be shocked if we were opposite on this one. We got the Arizona Cardinals at the Detroit Lions. The Cardinals are a 13-point road favorite. The over-under is 47.5. Cardinals are undefeated at home, and I believe 5-3 now, or 4-3 right now at home.
I thought, you said undefeated.
They're undefeated. I'm sorry, they're undefeated on the road. Excuse me. Lions died last week in Denver. Yeah. They didn't show up. But no DeAndre Hopkins. He's out for the rest of the regular season. Hopefully he can be back for the playoffs because the Cardinals are all but clinched in the playoffs. But still, electric offense, a good running game. James Conner's probably going to score a touchdown. Lions really don't have anything to play for. Joey D, Cardinals, Lions. Who's your pick?
Yeah, Tim, I'm guessing this is also probably your lock of the week, but I think I'm going to have the Cardinals as my lock. I mean, like you said, Lions have nothing to play for. No DeAndre Hopkins, which is devastating in my fantasy league. I'm in the semifinals but that's okay. That's okay. We got a lot of receivers. We're good. I just feel like the Cardinals, they're obviously rolling right now. They're the better team, better coached, just something to play for. They're coming off a rough loss to the Rams where, they cannot afford to slip up at all the rest of the way if they want to maintain their hold on that number 1 seed. So, it's definitely going to be, all gas, no brakes from here on out for the Cardinals. And I think that this is kind of where this is a get right game for them for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to go with the Cardinals as well. We'll not make that my lock of the week. We got a couple of other games that we can choose. So just so we had the same upset last week, and that didn't go too well for us, Joe. So
it did not.
Next up, we got an AFC East matchup. We got the New York Jets at the Miami Dolphins. Dolphins are a 10-point home favorite. The over-under is 42. Dolphins getting some rest, had a bye this past week in week 14, as well as the Patriots, Colts, and the Eagles, the core four of teams in the NFL, so to speak. Jets coming in as well. Michael Carter, good news for the Jets. Michael Carter should be activated and ready to go for Sunday, which is pretty awesome. But it's not going to be enough to go up against a well-rested Dolphins team who's pretty hot right now as well, Joe.
Yeah, this Dolphins team, they started 1-7. They're already back up to 6-7. So I mean, it was looking like the Eagles are going to get a top 5, top 10 pick from them. Now It's not looking that way at all. They've got a really easy rest of the schedule. They should be able to get this win and maybe sneak into the playoffs, Tim. I don't know. It's possible because of how poor their schedule is or how easy it is. I just don't know how I feel about this Dolphins team. I still don't think they're that good. I think they're a little worse than their record suggests, but they're better than the Jets. The Jets have not played well at all this year. Zach Wilson, Mormon Mahomes, Tim, really, he's been bad. And that's got to be discouraging for the Jets to draft another quarterback so high overall and have him not look good. But this kid's out of BYU. What do we expect, right?
Right. Yeah, I'm going with the Dolphins as well. I think the key is just that rest. Tua's been doing just enough. He's been managing the games very well. Not very similar to Mac Jones, just not turning the ball over, getting it to his playmakers, getting that connection with Jalen Waddle, and the Dolphins defense has really picked up as well. So I'm going with the Dolphins in this one. And Joe, this is the game that everybody is going to be watching Sunday afternoon. We got the Houston Texans at the Jacksonville Jaguars. The only two teams, or I guess with the Lions, the only two teams that are eliminated right now mathematically. Jaguars are actually a 3.5-point home favorite, and the over-under is 39.5. Joey D, two ugly teams, both eliminated. Nobody has anything to play for. You're playing for draft picks. Obviously, everything that's happening with Urban Meyer and down there in Jacksonville. But then you look at Houston, and they're just not good. So Texans, Jags, who's your pick, man?
Yeah, I mean, this is a toilet bowl for sure. But, I mean, there's been so many just negative reports coming out from Jacksonville. So much tension within that locker room. Even Urban Meyer looks checked out. You saw him shake Mike Vrabel's hand after the game. Didn't even look him in the eye. Mike Vrabel was on his coaching staff at Ohio State, and you can't even, show some sort of respect.
Give him a little hug or a little dap up or whatever.
Anything. So, Texans, they have at least been playing hard. They are not as, an antiquated offense as I'm seeing from the Jags. So I'm going to take the Texans in this one. They just feel like they've got a little bit better vibes right now than the Jags, where everything is kind of going against them. I mean, James Robinson getting benched. You got players upset about it. Urban Meyer's like, yeah, we got to get him the ball. Talking about Andre Cisco, how he's been getting more snaps from. Man hasn't played a snap all season. Like, he doesn't even know what he's doing. Yeah, no, give me the Texans easy.
I don't like this, Joe, but I'm going with the Jaguars in this one. I feel like part of me just thinks that this could be a good game where Trevor Lawrence might have 300 yards and like 3 touchdowns. And it's kind of like one of those where it's like, oh, yeah, that's why he was the number 1 pick. I think it could be that type of game for the Jaguars. I think the Texans are tapped out. I mean, they're doing okay, but I think at the end of the day, I think the Jaguars get the job done. Urban Meyer might smile at the end of this, or he might be upset being like, God damn it, why did you win?
If they win, he's going to go out and get another lap dance time.
Hey,
we don't want that.
It's the holiday season, though, Joe. It's the season of giving. But moving on, Joe, to one of the Jaguars' 2 wins and your favorite AFC team, the Buffalo Bills. Well, they got Cam Newton and Sam Darnold, who's been activated off the IR, and PJ Walker coming into town. We got the Carolina Panthers and the Buffalo Bills. The Bills are a 10.5-point home favorite. Over-under is 44.5. Josh Allen has a little bit of a sprained foot, but he still played in the second half last week. Basically mounted that comeback himself to force overtime against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But then you give Tom Brady the ball and just beep down the field as Tom Brady normally does. But the Panthers are coming into town, Joe. Panthers, Bills. Thoughts, and who's your pick?
Tim,
here we go.
This is my upset of the week. I don't feel great about it, but the Buffalo Bills have incurred my rage throughout this season, Tim. I am completely done with them. I am picking against them any opportunity I can. Give me this three-headed quarterback platoon coming into Buffalo. Wait, is it in Buffalo or is
It
it
is in
Carolina?
Buffalo. It is in Buffalo.
It is in Buffalo. Okay, I know what I'm talking about. Give me PJ Walker, Sam Darnold, and Cam all on the field at the same time, Tim. Give it to me. Give me 3 passes, multiple flea flickers for touchdowns. I just, again, I don't feel great about it. But the Bills have not been looking good. I mean, they had that good second half against Tampa Bay. But I mean, just the last couple of weeks, they look flat. Panthers don't look great either. So again, I don't feel great about it. But they've got a lot of guys in the secondary that can play. Might be able to force some turnovers, slow down Josh Allen. We know they're not going to run the ball, so that shouldn't be a concern. And if the Panthers and their three-headed quarterback platoon can run the ball, you got Cam Newton, you got PJ Walker, Sam Darnold. He had a game earlier this season that, he looked like Doug Flutie out there running full speed and breaking tackles. Yeah, I know. I mean, God, how long ago was it when, they were 3-0 and looking good? You were feeling good.
I was drinking the Kool-Aid, baby. I was drinking the Kool-Aid down there in Carolina.
Oh, no, Tim. So, yeah, I don't feel good about this at all, Tim. But we're going against Buffalo. Give me the Carolina Panthers, baby.
Yeah, I'm going with the Bills in this one, Joe.
You might catch up to me this whole week. We're opposite on a lot of games, and I don't feel great about a lot of my picks, but we do. I got a gut feeling everywhere.
Yeah, I'm going with the Bills in this one. I don't think it's going to be a blowout, but I think it comes down to if Josh Allen cannot play or if he gets a little bit hurt. There's one man in Buffalo who has the only Nickelodeon most valuable player, and that is Mitchell Trubisky. So if he's the quarterback, the MVP.
The MVP. Yes. Wow, that was cool. We did it at the same time.
Yeah, I think he's good enough to beat the Panthers. But even if Josh Allen does play, I think this could kind of be a get-right game for the Bills for that final stretch and potentially make a wild card. And now, Joe.
We'll see, Tim.
We got 2 very important NFC East divisional games. We're starting off with your 2 favorite teams in the division, the Dallas Cowboys and the New York Giants. The Cowboys are a 10.5-point road favorite on the road at the Meadowlands. Over-under is 44.5. These games are always close, Joe. As you know, NFC East generally pretty close games. I mean, hell, the Giants almost went into Dallas last year after, chopping off Dak Prescott's leg. They almost ended up winning the game. But Cowboys seem to be good. Their defense is playing some good ball, led by none other than Dan Quinn. Cowboys, Giants, Joe, can the Giants muster up an upset here?
I don't think so, Tim. I will say, in the Cowboys game against Washington, offense still has not looked great.
Yeah.
They kind of got bailed out by, Micah Parsons just going crazy, forcing the fumble and one of their D linemen taking it to the house. They had another interception while Washington was in the red zone. They've been opportunistic, made a lot of plays, and that's really been the story of the Cowboys this season. The offense hasn't looked nearly as good as we expected to,
right.
And especially since the beginning of the season, it's really been the defense that's carrying them. I do have concerns about this offense though, with Tony Pollard banged up, Zeke not 100%. Tyron Smith, I believe, has been ruled out for this game.
Okay.
But they're going up against Mike Glennon ultimately, Tim. So
or Daniel Jones.
I think it's going to be Mike Glennon. I'm pretty sure that Daniel Jones has been ruled out. So it might even be Jake Fromm in there at some points too, Tim. Georgia legend, who we know cannot win big games. So. I'm not going to pick the Giants to win this one, Tim. Let's go. Or I'll be rooting for them, but it's going to be the Cowboys in this one.
Yeah. I'm going to go with the Cowboys as well. This is just the safe pick. They're going to end up winning this game. I mean, it's the Giants, arguably one of the worst rosters in the league, and who knows what they're going to do with their couple of draft picks early in the first round.
Apparently they're bringing Joe Judge back.
Oh, even better. So
I know. So that's great news for the Eagles.
Speaking of those Philadelphia Eagles, Joe, they got the
Dusty
Washington
Birds.
football team coming into town. The Eagles are currently a 7-point home favorite. Over under is 44. Football team, another team that's been kind of strucken by COVID. Their defensive line
Yeah.
and their secondary is pretty much out for this game. Uh, a lot like the Ravens, and I have no idea who's back there, but there's some cornerbacks there for the football team. Could be a very good get right game for this Eagles offense going into the last couple of weeks of the season, coming off a bye, very well rested. Joey D, thoughts and who's your pick?
Yeah, I mean, going into this game, if all of these injuries and COVID situation wasn't going on, I think this would be a pretty good game. Um, you know, Washington's been playing really well. They fought and came back against Dallas last week, but just weren't able to finish. Heineke had the injury, and so he's not 100%. Terry McLaurin got concussed last week. He might play. He's not 100%. And then again, they're missing so many people. Like I don't even know if they have enough to field a roster right now. Tim.
Right.
I think they're at like 42 players that they have available or something like that. So it's rough. They might even have to forfeit. I don't know, but because of this, I feel like this has to be the Eagles, who win this game. It's not 100% if it's going to be Jalen Hurts or Gardner Minshew. I think that Nick Sirianni said that Hurts, Kelsey, Miles Sanders, Jordan Howard, everyone is trending upwards, looking like they're going to play. But I think that whether it's Gardner Minshew or Jalen Hurts against this depleted Washington team, we should still be able to get the win. We should be able to run the ball successfully against a bunch of backup defensive linemen. Should be able to pass the ball successfully against a bunch of backup corners who have never played snaps in the NFL. So I'm expecting a big game from Devontae Smith. I'm really
I know.
hoping for
I'm
it, counting on it.
more.
Yes. So it's going to be I think that this is a game that we should be able to win easily. I mean, our defense should be able to get after bad quarterbacks like we have. Heineke's not terrible, but like he's not an elite quarterback, and those are the ones that our defense has struggled with. So I think our defense will do just fine. We'll be able to run the ball and pass the ball successfully. But again, I felt this confident going into the Giants game, Tim.
Yeah.
So you never know, but we are coming off the bye. So, if we were to lose this game with no Washington players to speak of, 2 weeks of rest and preparation, we absolutely don't deserve to be in the playoffs anyway. So, we control our destiny. Win against Washington, win against New York, win against Washington, play Dallas week 18. They might not even play their starters and we might win out. So, it's all in our hands now. Come on, Nick Sirianni. Come on, Jalen Hurts. Come on, Devontae Smith. I need Jalen and Devontae big time.
Yeah, I want to go with the Eagles as well. I thought about them as my lock of the week, but I remember they were my lock of the week a couple of weeks ago against the Giants. So but I'm going with this one. I'm very going to be curious to see Nick Sirianni and his play calling. This is a game where you just go in, you do your thing, and then you get out with the win. Don't try to get too cute. Just go from point A to point B and point B to point C. Don't try to zigzag your way there. Just straight line, run the ball, play some defense, get the ball to your playmakers. Don't try to get cute. Get in, win, get out, because you got tougher games ahead of you for the Eagles. So I like the Eagles in this one. And then the final game of the 1:00 slate show, we got a very interesting AFC matchup. Depending on how Saturday goes, we got the Titans at the Steelers. Titans are a 2-point road favorite. Over under is 41.5. If the Colts win, Titans also need to kind of win to maintain their division lead. If the Colts lose, then, the Steelers are saying, hey, wild card, maybe if we win. So this has a lot of implications in the AFC, whether in the AFC South or for the wild card, especially if the Browns lose or maybe the Ravens are losing, whatever, here and there. So Titans at Steelers. Joey D, thoughts and who's your pick in this one?
Yeah, I'm going with the Titans in this one, Tim. Steelers did have a decent game these past couple of weeks. They definitely been playing a little bit better. We've seen a little bit more life. I think these Chase Claypool distractions are definitely a real thing, and I mean Mike Tomlin's not going to stand for that. So I'll be interested to see what his playing time looks like in this game. Titans are pretty banged up. No Derrick Henry. Ryan Tannehill, it's all on you. That's not going to be easy against the Steelers defense. I just feel like Titans defense is playing a lot better than, we expected. They've really turned it around the second half of the season. And I think that they're going to be able to, force some turnovers and make some plays against a not so great Steelers offense. So give me the Titans in this one, Timmy B.
Yeah, I'm going with the Titans as well, Joe. I agree with everything you said right there. Excuse me. And I picked the Steelers last week. They just didn't get the job done for me. So I'm going with the Titans to solidify their stay at the top of the AFC. And hopefully that will officially bury the Steelers and eliminate them mathematically. Although I did see Todd McShay's first mock draft came out. 5 quarterbacks in the first round. Kenny Pickett from the University of Pittsburgh, 2 of the Pittsburgh
Yeah,
Steelers.
and he had none of the Eagles took none of those quarterbacks.
I
In,
saw
in that
the
mock.
linebacker from Michigan, I believe, was one of your picks. So
It might have been the D end. There's no way the Eagles are taking a linebacker in the first round, Tim. It doesn't happen. It should, though. We need it desperately in this defense.
well,
Give me
Todd
Nakobe Dean from Georgia.
well, Todd McShay, if you're listening, which I know you are, you better change that mock draft because Joey D says Eagles don't take linebackers. So, anyways, Joe. Moving on to the 4 o'clock slate, we got the Atlanta Falcons on the road at the San Francisco 49ers. The 49ers are a 9.5-point home favorite. The over-under is 46. Joey D. Falcons, 49ers, typically a game that the Falcons have won in San Fran. You know, this goes back even to Matt Ryan versus Jim Harbaugh. That was a couple of the NFC championships as well. So these teams do have some sort of a history, especially a couple of years ago, Dan Quinn kicking a field goal down 4 with like 2 minutes to go or whatever. So a very interesting history between these teams in the last, 5 to 10 years. But this is 2021. So Joey D, Falcons, 49ers, thoughts and who's your pick?
Yeah, the Niners, they kind of got away with one last week against the Bengals. There were a couple plays in there that, refs kind of missed on 1 or 2 plays.
Yeah.
And, Jimmy G threw a surefire interception that Jesse Bates dropped for the Bengals that kind of allowed them to hold on and win.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really feel like both of these teams, the Niners and the Falcons, are in playoff contention. I mean, Niners are 7-6. I think the number 6 seed right now. The Falcons are 6-7. I think like the 10 seed right now or something like that. So it's a huge game for sure. I'd like to see the Falcons win. That would be great. The Eagles have a tiebreaker over the Falcons. We do not have a tiebreaker over the 49ers. So it would definitely be helpful. But Niners are just a more talented team right now. Falcons. I think that Arthur Smith has had an underrated good year, considering not much talent to really work with. Calvin Ridley, stepping away mid-season, and he's got them still in the hunt and at 6-7, right there with a lot of teams. So I think that it'll be a little closer game than people expected. And again, I'll be rooting hard for the Falcons, Tim, but I'm going to take the 49ers.
Yeah, Joe, I don't feel good about this lock of the week, but I'm going with the 49ers to win. I think this is going to be a fun game for tight ends. I mean, we got Kyle Pitts and Hayden Hurst on the Falcons side. We got George Kittle, who is going full beast mode the last couple of weeks for the 49ers.
Yeah.
I just think at the end of the day, and we've been saying this for the past couple of weeks, if Kittle and Debo and, they're all healthy, 49ers are still a pretty solid team offensively. So I like the 49ers in this one, and I think this would kind of officially eliminate the Atlanta Falcons from playoff contention more or less. So I'm going with the 49ers as my lock of the week.
Okay.
And now the team the 49ers beat last week, the Cincinnati Bengals. Well, they're going on the road at the Denver Broncos. As of right now, the Broncos are a 2.5-point home favorite. So Vegas is basically saying that these teams are more or less equal. Just Denver's the home team. Over under is 44. Joey D. Bengals, Broncos. Broncos are still alive in the wild card spot. Might even make the playoffs, believe it or not. But they got Joey Burrow coming into town. And if they can win this one, especially if the Ravens lose the way we're going, Bengals have a good chance at the AFC North Division title. So Bengals, Broncos, thoughts and who's your pick?
Yeah, I'm taking the Bengals in this one, Tim. Joe Burrow, he's cooled off a little bit, but, he's still playing some really good football. They've just got so many weapons on the offense to get the ball to. I mean, Jamar Chase having a phenomenal rookie season. T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, C.J. Uzama, Joe Mixon. I mean, this offense is stacked. And, while this Broncos defense is talented, I just don't think that they have the offensive firepower to keep up. It's Teddy Bridgewater at the end of the day. And, when you have to when he has to pass in order to win, then I just don't see that, really happening very often. So yeah, give me the Bengals in this one. I don't think it should be too much of a tough game for him.
Yeah, I'm going with the Bengals as well, and I think it could be very much like the Ravens Broncos game where there was never a doubt that the Ravens or Bengals will be winning, but it's going to be like one of those like 23 to 10, 20 to 10 type of games, but it would be never a doubt that the Bengals are going to win. So I'm going to go with the Bengals. And now the later 4 o'clock slate, we got the Seattle Seahawks and the Los Angeles Rams. Rams are a 5-point home favorite. Over under is 45.5. Seahawks, kind of having some life now. They're kind of still in the hunt somewhat, but they do play the Bears in a couple of weeks, so that the loser of that game will more or less be officially eliminated. But the Rams coming off a huge win, another team with a couple of COVID issues, most notably Odell Beckham Jr., who's been having a couple of touchdowns recently as well. But
Yeah.
Rams are still the favored. Joey D, thoughts on who's your pick in this NFC West battle?
Tim, this is my upset. Oh wait, no, I already did the
Yeah, you
upset.
had the
It was the Panthers.
Panthers. You got the
All
Panthers.
right, man. Now I don't know. I think when I was looking at the games earlier, I was considering this one as my upset. Uh, nah, I'm gonna stick with the Rams. I guess I'm gonna go with the Rams. Rams huge win against the Cardinals this past week. No Jalen Ramsey, and they were still able to force some turnovers, make some plays, and really just control that game from start to finish. Like you said, Seattle has definitely shown some life the last couple weeks. I just, I just don't think they have enough. They're showing some life. They need everything to go their way right
Right.
now. I mean, they're desperate, but the Rams are also desperate too to try to get that division lead, which they're right behind the Cardinals for. I mean, Cardinals could go from the number 1 seed to the number 5 seed. Just very fast if they lose at all and the Rams keep winning. So I think there's a lot of pressure on both of these teams, but the Rams, it's in sight for them. That
Yeah.
it's all ahead of them. Seahawks, they have a long road to go and a lot of things that need to go their way if they're going to make it. I just don't know if they've had so much adversity to overcome this season. It just still doesn't feel great. Vibes are still off in Seattle. So I was thinking maybe Seattle in this one. I could still see it happening. I mean, a lot of COVID stuff with the Rams, like we said. I'll stick with the Rams in this one, Tim.
Yeah, and you mentioned it too, especially in the NFC when you're looking at the Rams and the Cardinals, you're looking at either a top 3 seed in the NFC and either having a bye or having a home game against maybe a team like the Vikings or the Eagles or the football team, or you're that 5 seed and you're going at Dallas, which will not be an easy matchup, no matter what team is going in there. It's not like last year when it's like, all right, we're going to play at the 6-10, or even in the AFC where it's like, all right, we're playing at the weaker team. That at the Cowboys will still be a little bit of a tough challenge. But yeah, I like the
Maybe a
Rams in
bit.
this one. Maybe a bit, maybe a little teeny bit. But I'm going with the Rams as well. They're just going to get business done. As you said, they see the light at the end of the tunnel and they're going to march toward that way and get that division win and get that division title. And then the final 4 o'clock game of the day, Joe, we got the Green Bay Packers at my Baltimore Ravens. The Packers are currently a 5.5-point favorite on the road. Over under is 43.5. Lamar Jackson is still day to day with his sprained ankle. If he does play, great. If he doesn't play, sure, whatever. Either way, Tyler Huntley is probably going to get some playing time on Sunday. Joey G, I like the Packers in this game. I think they're going to win. Aaron Rodgers is going to feast on our secondary that does not exist, especially if Lamar Jackson is out. I just think, the season is kind of a lost cause right now. I'd much rather go 8-9 and get a better draft pick than, make the playoffs and be like, we can do this. Like, no, we can't. Have you seen our secondary, Joe?
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with the Packers in this one. I do have Aaron Rodgers on one of my playoff fantasy teams. So hopefully this is not the game our secondary decides to have 8 interceptions, but I'm going with the Packers in this one. Joey D, how about yourself?
Yeah, I'm taking the Packers as well. I mean, like you said, so many injuries for the Ravens. It's so hard to, just put up a roster and put
Right.
up a fight, at that point. I mean, Lamar might play. If he does, he's definitely not going to be 100%. This Packers defense has been playing better. Like you said, Rodgers going up against a very depleted Ravens secondary. Everything is pointing to the Packers in this one. It's going to take a hell of a coaching job by John Harbaugh for them to
Right.
pull this game off. And we've seen that happen in the past. So I wouldn't be shocked. But I think that, the Packers should be able to take care of business this week.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going with the Packers. Now we got Sunday night football. We got the New Orleans Saints at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Buccaneers are a 10.5-point home favorite. Over under is 46.5. Now, Sean Payton is 3-0 against Tom Brady's Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the regular season. Of course, as we saw last year, the Buccaneers won in the playoffs. Joe, is there any chance the Saints can make it 4-0, or the Buccaneers is too hot right now? Tom Brady in December, Sunday night football at home. I'm going with the Bucs in this one, no doubt about it. But what about yourself? Who are you going with?
Yeah, I don't even really need to think about this that much. I mean, Taysom Hill going up against, Tom Brady. No Mike Thomas. Still no real receivers. I mean, Alvin Kamara's there, so I mean, it's going to just be all on the ground for
Right.
the Saints, and that's what the Buccaneers do so well against. Is defending the run. So they're going to take away the run game, force Taysom Hill to beat him with his arm. He's not capable of doing that. Give me the Bucs in a blowout.
Going with the Bucs as well. And Joey D, finally, the final game of Week 15. We had a full slate of games, 16 games, which is nice. We got the Vikings and the Bears on Monday Night Football. Vikings are a 3.5-point road favorite. Over under is 44.5. Now, Joe, I did not pick my upset of the week until the final game of the week. I'm going with the Chicago Bears on Monday Night Football as my upset of the week. We talked about this before, Joe. We got primetime Kirk Cousins on the road.
Big game.
On the road in Chicago. Both teams need to win. Chicago to still stay in the hunt. The Vikings to still kind of maintain a wild card spot. I just like what I've seen with the Bears and Justin Field. They had a great game in Lambeau last week, almost pulled out the victory. I think Kirk Cousins out of the dome, on the road, prime time. It's going to be cold. It's going to be windy in Chicago. I'm going to go with the young gun in Justin Fields. Joe, how about yourself?
Tim, I would love to see that happen. That would be glorious for me, Tim. It would be classic Kirk Cousins. It would help out the Eagles tremendously. I just don't think it's going to happen, unfortunately. Bears, they're just not that talented of a team. I mean, I don't believe in Justin Fields. Their receivers are not great there. They might still be able to have some success against a shaky Vikings defense, but I just feel like Kirk Cousins, Justin Jefferson, and Dalvin Cook, that's more than enough talent to overcome a not so great Bears team. So I think that the Vikings will be all right in this one. But I think it'll be a good game, and I hope the Bears do win.
Yeah, well, I am 6 games behind you. We are opposite on 6 games this week in Week 15. So if I'm right, fantastic, Joey D. We're tied going into the final couple of weeks of the season. Hey, even if I'm just a +2 or +3, that's even better, narrowing down your lead. But that's gonna do
but
it.
if you get a bunch of them wrong, Tim, then that might be the dagger for you, buddy.
It could be the dagger, could be, or maybe the next week I just go opposite of you for the rest of the season and see what happens there. But that will do it for this episode of the Flea Flicker Gang. We will be back next week. Of course, Christmas is on Friday or Saturday, so we'll again probably just do the same thing that we did here. Just kind of briefly go over the final week, any news or anything like that. But Joey D, any final words before we head into your wife's birthday weekend? What do we got planned?
Tim, we are gonna go somewhere nice for dinner. We're watching the new Spider-Man on Friday. Her birthday's on Saturday. I'll do all the nice things around the house that a husband typically does, right? Probably. And then I think on Sunday we're spending some time with some of Brooke and our friends and celebrating Brooke. It's a birthday that's close to Christmas, so it definitely makes things tricky for me with gifts, Tim. I've got a bunch of gifts here. I don't even know which ones are which. So we're just gonna hope for the best, and first birthday as a married couple, so let's hope I don't botch it.
Hey, you know what? It can only get better from here if you do. So you know what? That's I guess
right.
the sunny side of things. But yes, that'll do it for this episode of the Flea Flicker. That's Joey D over there, and I'm Timmy B. Folks, we will see you next week. Peace.